So today we're going to be doing a combination color. I've posted a color on Instagram and a lot of you were wondering how I did it. This one is going to be a combination of an ombre and highlights up top. Okay, so actually before I section her, we can see she has a pretty dark root, probably between like it's probably about a 2, between a 1 and a 2. So we're going to cover it with 6.11 from J. Beverly Hills. With J. Beverly Hills, it's 1 to 1.5. So I mix it with half, or I mix it with, if there's 25 grams in the bowl, I mix it with 25 grams of 20 volume and 12 grams of 30 volume. Because even though we're lifting her to a 6, because we're putting foils up here, I find that with all the extra heat, it gives it a little bit too much of a boost if I use a 30 or 40 vol. So that's a little trick that I keep just in the crown or any time in between foils, because otherwise you end up with hot roots. So I'm going to apply her root color and then I'll come back with the sectioning pattern. Okay, so now I have her sectioned. I took a horseshoe parting right from just right above the widest point of the head, and then I sectioned the top into 4 different triangles. And because of this, in the front section, all the 3 back sections I always use slices, and then the front one I'm going to weave it. We're going to start with the brown in between is just going to be a 6N with 5 volume, and then on her roots I'm going to use Schwarzkopf blondeme with some continuum and 20 vol, and then on her ends it's going to be Schwarzkopf blondeme with continuum and just 7 vol. And I chose 7 because obviously like the blonde is not going to need as much of a lift as her roots are going to need. So the reason why I weave in the front is to prevent any stripiness when she's parting. But I like to do slices in the back because anybody that has this kind of thick, coarse, ethnic hair, sometimes when you weave it, the color isn't as bold. So you'll see the finish at the end where it has nice highlighted effect. Okay, so I actually decided to do weaves throughout all 4 of the sections. I've done the first 2 panels already. In the last 2 panels I've bumped up the developer, so on the roots I'm going to be putting 30 just on the really dark stuff, and then on the ends I'm going to be putting 20 so that it all processes and finishes at the same time. So with this weave I've chosen to do a really random weave. So like this one, you can see like there's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. This one's a thicker weave, this is a thinner one. So that when you take it all down it's going to look really diffused. And from section to section all of your weaves are going to be a little bit different in size. And obviously the formulas for the lightener will have continuum in them as well. So what I do is I put the root color on in between so I don't have to lift up the foils later, and I can just color her ends darker. So a tip for when you're sectioning out your triangles, you want to make sure that your triangle will fit within a foil, and that'll help you divide your sections accordingly. So I've just checked her foils. It's been about 15 minutes, and some of the darkest pieces in here are matched to this. So now what I'm going to do is I took Schwarzkopf blondeme and 30 vol with some continuum, and I'm just going to paint it over the darkest parts. And I chose 30 just so that it could quickly process and finish at the same time as everything else would. So the last time we did this, we foiled everything, and so make sure when you're painting it on that you still keep that really diffused line so it looks like an ombre underneath. Wanting to make sure that the line is really blurred out, you can just put a little bit of backcombing right over top of it. And then just make sure that the lightener is evenly saturated all the way through. Okay, so this lightener's been on for about 10 minutes and we can see we're ready to wash. It works really quickly. Now the color looks really even from root to end. And her foils match too. So we're gonna wash it and then I'm gonna rough dry it before we tone it, and you can see it before we put the toner on. Okay, so you can see now that her hair is about half dry. You don't want to dry it too much because you've heard me say it before, but hair is like a sponge, so when it's too saturated with water, it's not going to absorb anything. If it's too dry, it's not going to really be able to pick up anything either. So if you look at the color here, you can see that it still has a little bit of an orangey tinge, but that's fine. We can correct it with a toner. I think a lot of mistake that people make when they're doing blondes is they see this color and they try to lift past it just to bleach it all out. And they do that, but they really sacrifice the integrity of the hair. So here you can see her hair is still very strong. So what I mixed for her toner is I used 40 grams of 9.1 in J. Beverly Hills, and I added 10 grams of steel blue from the Schwarzkopf mixers, and I put in 50 grams of 20 vol. So I'm going to start to apply the toner where it's the darkest, which is kind of underneath, and then I'll go through and put it onto the top. Again, you want your toners to process for the full time, so at about 20 minutes I'm going to start to check her, but it'll likely sit on for 30 minutes. Okay, so here you can see that it's toning out really nicely. It's a nice sandy ashy color and it's pretty even root to end. I'm going to bring her to the sink for the last 5 minutes and just emulsify it through. I want to correct her toner formula. Earlier it was actually 30 grams of 9.1 and 10 grams of the blue steel, and obviously I had to mix more toner. This girl has a healthy head of hair, so basically 25% of my formula was the steel blue. So here you can see the toner, or we washed it out. I've just rough dried it a little bit. Now I'm going to prep the hair with some Replenish. Just through her mid shaft and ends. Then some heat protector. And Clarissa likes really big hair, so I'm going to put some Fix right into her roots to blow dry into the hair. Okay, so now you can see that the color is all done. So it gives a heavier density of blonde underneath when you keep the blonde the bottom solid ombre. And it has a lot of nice dimension by leaving the highlights like this. How's your hair feel?
Awesome. So soft.
So if you like what you see, make sure to leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for some new videos.